move on. We have to move on draft talk. I've got my man Nick on here. If you know and watch Let's Talk Football, the roundtable, you know Nick did his mock drafts. No trades in those mock drafts.
No
so
trades.
once all the crazy trades came out, we saw how that blew up that. And we will be doing in the coming weeks on both shows, we will be spotlighting the draft. Leading up to April 29th, ladies and gentlemen, we will be in Chicago doing the draft, the live draft as they come. We will be looking at every single pick, who goes where. I will also be calling in my guys, the shirtless wonder Ablo and South Carolina's eggplant Will Kramer, to join us so that they can talk and we can discuss Washington's pick. And I can't wait. I can't wait.
I'm not going to lie. I'm actually right. I want to see who you guys pick because I want to hear the conversation among you three when, that pick comes out because we're right behind you. So you're 19, we're 20. So I'm very interested to see how this goes.
So most of the night, and most of the people are going to be watching the draft, and they're like, "Oh, let's see what happens in the first 5 picks." We're like, "Go past all that. Go past all that. Yeah. Let's get to 19 and 20. Let's see."
We already know that pretty much the first 7 or 8 are probably going to go. So it doesn't get exciting until stuff starts happening that you didn't expect. Exactly. You can pretty much predict the top 5 or 6 at least, I'm sure.
Yeah. And speaking of things that you can't expect, one of the reasons why you have that, we've seen all the mini trades that have been going on. We've seen everything that's really kind of been taking place and over the last couple of years, and that has begot teams having a bounty of picks. And that's led with Philadelphia. They have 11 picks. The Jets, the Jags, Dallas, Green Bay, New England, and Minnesota all have 10 picks. Cleveland, Tennessee, San Francisco, the Chargers, Atlanta, and the Broncos have 9. And not too far behind, Washington and Chicago have 8. So, as we know, having the picks and making good picks are 2 very different things. We can easily go back to that monumental trade between the Saints and Washington all those years back that landed the Saints with Ricky Williams, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, Dick mortgaged, the whole franchise, the future." But what did Washington do with those picks? The only name I can remember is Dexter Nottage, and he was garbage. So,
Dexter Nottage, wow.
So it does not matter if you have 100 picks. If you don't know how to use them and pick correctly, that can say something. Now, with that being said, like we mentioned before, Ab, I'm going to come to you. We have 8 picks in that draft. We've already mentioned what we think we're getting number 1. We've already mentioned how we lean linebacker and this. But what I think, and I want you to touch on, Ab, you did mention a quarterback later in the round. 2nd, 3rd. Talk to me about that, and talk to me about some other positions we might particularly need later in the draft.
So let me just say this. The draft should be called the lottery because literally it's like we don't know the number 1 pick's going to be a number 1 pick, like a stereotypical number 1 pick. Like we think, we assume, but like honestly, what the draft is literally saying you have this many chances to hit the jackpot. And that's what the lottery is. So it should be called the lottery, not the draft. so let me just say that. And to me, I'm like, and to go back to your question, Sean, I already said this, we need an inside linebacker. Over the past few weeks, I've been saying my man JOK, like I start off with JOK, but I'm leaning now towards the Xavier Collins. And to me, I think the Washington football team can trade back and still pick up Xavier Collins and get more picks. And honestly, that's where I'm leaning more towards. They did a survey, not a survey, but basically what is it? Basically, 2nd round, we don't do well. We don't pick well in the 2nd round. Leaning back towards maybe 10 years ago when we picked up those two wide receivers, Kelly and it was horrible. Like nah. So second round is our worst round, but honestly, we can definitely do something with more second round picks. Honestly, maybe it's different with Ron Rivera. We need offensive line, especially if we're going to get trade away Sheriff. I'd say wide receiver, pick up another. I think we need a slot receiver because I don't trust who's our new guy.
Adam
Humphries.
Yeah,
I don't trust him. I think he's going to get hurt. So we need to pick up. I think we need to pick up because this draft is full of small midgets that run fast. So literally pick up one of these guys and have them put them in there. And I'm all about it. I'm all about picking up someone maybe doesn't have to play this year, but put him out there next year. Another position, quarterback. I think we have 2 third rounders, so let's get a quarterback with one of them. Too easy. Cornerback, definitely. We need someone to pick up after we let go of Moreau. So someone right there. Safety, free safety. We didn't address that in free agency. So definitely looking to hit that. Maybe second round pick. Get a free safety. Asante Samuels Jr. Is he his safety? Or a cornerback?
Yeah, I think he was more corner, but I mean, we might be able to push him around.
Yeah,
if he has skills.
I mean, he might be there for a second round pick. And honestly, I say we double up on linebacker because we didn't touch up on linebacker.
Yeah, we don't need to.
In free agency. I mean, we did get that one guy, but Mayo. But I don't know who he is. Definitely pick up 2 linebackers in the draft, and you can't go wrong with a defensive end. Honestly, you can't go wrong. Like we've done it almost every year, picking up a defensive end in the 7th round. So the last two drafts. So let's get it. Another defensive end.
I'm with it. I'm absolutely with it, and I'm gonna go ahead and go, Nick. So because I'm gonna let you talk Bears as well. So we like we said, we've been talking linebacker. I'm with that. Along the lines, this is one thing, and I'm gonna shout out Will on this. This is one thing that him and I were discussing along the lines of what you were saying with the whole Sheriff thing. If we can somehow work out a trade and maybe move up a spot or 2 or a couple spots somehow with getting a Sheriff trade again, something like that, I would not be opposed to potentially picking up maybe a tackle. If we can get one of these studs, a Darrisaw or a Slater, somebody, one of these, Vera Tucker, right? One of these studs. If we can get one of these guys that we can get them for cheap and really get them into our system and working in them young, I would definitely, I wouldn't have a problem with that. Other than that, I agree with going back a couple picks because I think Xavier Collins is definitely getting overlooked. You know, people aren't really looking at him, and you know, we see something. We think we see something, but we're hoping that we know where we're going with this. And I think we're good, but I don't think he's getting looked at as much. As far as later rounds, like you said, small, speedy receiver, Rondale Moore out of Purdue. I absolutely love that pick. I love. We talked about this before, and Nick, you talked about it with I think the Ravens, Rashad Bateman. I mean, potentially, if that's available, and maybe a couple guys that we were looking for are off the board, I like that. I do like the receivers, and yes, if a Trask is around the 3rd round, or that Jamie, I'm so glad you brought up Newman out of Georgia Tech. If I'm not mistaken, or did Georgia Tech or Wake Forest, one of those ACC schools. He is he literally is one of those quarterbacks that's like a dual threat. He's got some ability, he's got some size, got some moves on him, he's got an arm, but he didn't get any looks because he was in the ACC, which doesn't get any looks. He's with Georgia Tech, which normally runs that read option or the triple option. So he didn't get really looks, but he had some good games. So I definitely like getting a quarterback later in the round, letting him see what he can do, improve himself. So yeah, I'm definitely with you on that. But O-line, I think, is huge. But that's coming from let's get Sheriff and let's move him on. Because like you said, the extent I like that for this year, but I definitely think we need to start planning and game planning for when he's gone. Because I think that's inevitable. I think he's going to be out of here. So let's start game planning for that now, as opposed to waiting till he leaves and then we're in a situation where like, oh, we got a hole now. So O-line definitely interested in, wide receiver definitely, and then safety for sure. Jack is saying Jamon Davis. I gotta look him up. Nick, what are Davis? You like? Okay,
yeah,
bet. So, hey, there's somebody at 18 or potentially higher if we can move up and trade Sheriff. Nick, what do you think? I know first I'm going to ask you about Washington because I know what you think. That was before we knew anything, and Mac Jones was still potentially available at 19.
Right.
Now, what are you looking at? Now that we think he's not going to – well, we're pretty sure he's not going to be there.
Well, as you said, depending on the Sheriff thing and how that works out, there's a couple of tackles that are there for you guys to take. Yep. Darrisaw, like you said, Elijah Vera Tucker. If Rashawn Slater drops that far, but you guys, linebacker help, I think, was one of the other bigger needs that you guys had. So there are a couple of linebackers coming out of this draft. It's a kid out of Penn State, Kwity Paye, I think was one of them, and a couple of again, I know you guys are high on the Notre Dame guy. So, Mr. Jeremiah okay. So yeah, I mean, I think for you guys that would be great because again, solidifying you guys have a young defense, which is good. So getting another couple guys in there to mesh with everybody else, I think would be great for you guys in going forward in the future. And Rivera was a linebacker himself. He understands the position. He understands how to play the position. So I think that's a plus too. And drafting a linebacker, Rivera would know what to look for. I would imagine. So yeah, I think that's probably where you guys should go. And again, as you said, 3rd, 4th, 5th round, grab another quarterback that's out there, put them in the competition, see what you got. I think that would work out great for you guys. Probably about.
What about Chicago? What about with you guys?
It's so hard to talk about this, Sean, because it just really is though. Because you sit there and you shake your head and go, "Why are we never in on anything? Like, why are we always chasing our tail or always making moves that just don't seem to make any damn sense?" Or you shake your head and go, so here, 8 picks, right? We got 8 picks in this draft.
Yeah.
Our biggest needs are offensive line. Now we need cornerback. You got rid of Kyle Fuller. We had cut Buster Screen earlier. So you're probably going to need some cornerback safety help. We could always use another probably, receiver. I mean, I would say receiver has become a need too, given the question mark with Allen Robinson as well, who could be gone after this year. Easily.
He'll be gone after this year.
Probably, but again, I'm trying to hold out some sort of hope. But like you said, it's the same.
What do you think of Kadarius Toney from?
Well, I like Kadarius Toney from Florida.
He's getting a lot of attention these days.
If you remember when I did my receivers, he was one of the guys I mentioned. Yeah. So yeah, if he's available there in the 2nd round still, I would love to pick that kid up. Some people have him being gone in the 1st round. We'll see. Because some people, I saw a mock draft where someone had the Bears taking him at 20. They had them taking Kadarius Toney. And I went, yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting.
Being taken in 19 on a lot of drafts also.
Yeah. So you just go, okay. I mean, I like Kadarius Toney, and if he's there, sure, we do need receiver help. We're gonna need receiver help, I should say. But I just, again, it's hard when we don't seem to draft well, and that's really upsetting to me because it's like that's how you build your. And yes, you can build your team through trades and free agency, sure, but drafting has always been the number one successful way to build a team. It's always been that way, and I think it's always going to be that way. It just is. You have to build through the draft. You can't always count on having enough money to get free agents or to do it that way, or that guys are going to want to sign with you because you're the Chicago Bears. Because we know that's not happening. I don't see anybody dying to come here. So yeah,
no.
So exactly. So yeah, it's I hope that somehow Ryan Pace, fearing for his job or something, tries to pull something out of his behind with this year's draft. And I hope, all I can hope for is that the guys that we pick up work out, and that, whatever we decide to do, with that quarterback room, like, again, if I told you, man, I got Andy Dalton, Nick Foles, and Tyler Bray, man, we're going to do it, you'd look at me and laugh. Like,
You're
so, I believe me, I don't have any confidence in my quarterbacks, and the Bears are my team. So I'm very weary going into this draft about what we're going to do. So I'm going to be watching with you guys. We'll be doing the show, Sean. So if I start crying, just let me be, man. I'm going to cower up in the corner and just be by myself for a while, because I believe me, I'm desperately waiting to see who we take at 19 to begin with. If we don't, in fact, try to now, because again, you can say, well, why don't the Bears trade up? What are you going to trade up with? What are you going to give them?
Right.
Nick Foles?
Allen Robinson.
Yeah. Well, again, the fact that you franchise tagged him a second time, again, a la the Scherf, if you can make a big deal like that and get a lot back for Robinson, then I'm not opposed to that at all.
Exactly.
Then you can just draft another receiver or two and you're fine.
You got Mooney.
Again, I like Darnell Mooney too. Hopefully he'll have a good second year. And again, we're one of those teams that, we're a running team. So you got the big, tight ends. We got Cole Kmet. We got Jimmy Graham. But Jimmy Graham couldn't block me. But I'm just saying, like, this is part of our thing, is where we like these big tight ends and whatever, and it's, I don't know, man. Like I said, I'm very interested, but I'm also and I seem pessimistic, I know.
Yes.
So I'm hoping that my attitude will change before April 29th, but right now they're not inspiring a lot of confidence. I'll leave it at that.
And guys, we're so glad that you joined us here on the therapy session.
Exactly.
The Washington Football Team and Bears therapy session, because we are both anxiously awaiting the moves that our teams make.
Yeah.
And no matter how much research we do, no matter how much we sit here and we go through the paperwork, we go through the numbers and this and that, we still know that our management is funky.
Yeah.
Funky like 2-day-old skunky beer.
That's true.
And we just, nothing that we do seems to make sense. But at least for us, maybe Ron Rivera, maybe he has some control. He does what he needs to do. Ab, did you want to say something on that?
On what? I'm sorry.
Just no anything he was saying about the Bears or any of that stuff.
I don't think you can replace Allen Robinson with Tony. Isn't Tony small? Like, he's a small wide receiver.
6'2", I believe he was 6'2".
Really? Oh, okay.
I believe so. Let me check. Let me double check, because I thought
he was small. Like I said, the draft is riddled with small wide receivers. So
wide receivers, you're right. But yeah, let me check.
So
that.
Like, to me, like, you don't replace a number one with a slot. You know what I'm saying? So
right, I get you.
Yeah, that's just my only argument right there. Like,
no, you're right. 5'11", 5'11".
Yeah. So to me, maybe a Bateman. Bateman's like 6 something, right?
Rashad's 6'4". That guy's a beast. Yeah.
Yeah. So you get what I'm saying. That's interchangeable.
No, I'm with you.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So I mean, that'd be my only thing. I wanted to ask this question to you, Nick. Would you trade number 20 for Sheriff?
Ooh. Well, it's interesting, because again, you're looking at a guy who, at least right now, has proven he can play in the NFL. I don't know what his injury thing is like, but 20 seems still seems a little high for a guard, as you said. If he was a tackle and it was, a little bit more proven, that would probably do it. But just for a guard at 20, I don't think that I would. I don't think. But again, it's the Bears, and they'll do anything. So you never know.
Anything could happen.
You guys maybe want to propose this and call Chicago and call Ryan Pace and see if they'll do it. And you guys can have a deal by next week.
They're like, wait, you got something new? Oh,
we'll like throw in a second rounder just because we do that. Like, we'll give you another pick, and for sure. Let's just give away picks. Why not? We don't need them.
But I like, that move is going to be interesting. A lot of talk about Sheriff, around these franchise tag guys, because a lot of people still don't understand. A lot of people think that when you franchise tag somebody, they're stuck with you. They don't have to sign. Like they can still kind of offers and things moves can still be made.
Right.
But it's just not like me. So we'll see how all that stuff plays out because that is going to be very, very interesting. Ladies and gentlemen.